Hello everyone.
Greetings.
We're in Pure Worship book and we're on page 78 and the subtitle for this section is Political Power Was a Piece of Straw. We're not actually going to read any of the paragraphs. You can thank us. We're just going to read the one scripture that they highlight in bold and suggest to be read.
Yeah, this is a favorite text for two reasons at least. This time it's the second reason. That is, how should we think about politics and powers? Put not your trust in princes, in a son of man, in whom there is no salvation. When his breath departs, he returns to the earth. On that very day his plans perish. And that's the other reason, right? They like this text in the New World Translation because it says, in that day his thoughts perish. But no, in most Bibles, its plans perish. It's got nothing to do with the afterlife. But
So, did you say where you're reading? Psalm 146? Sorry.
no, I didn't, but you did.
All right, go ahead.
All right, there's more to come. Blessed is he whose help is the God of Jacob, whose hope is in the Lord his God, who made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that is in them. So you get the reason why we trust in God as opposed to trust in men. But when you realize that of all people on earth, of all organizations on earth, surely the Watchtower leadership are the ones who are making the greatest claim that you can trust them.
Yeah.
No politicians I know of have the degree of, demand the degree of loyalty that the princes of the Watchtower do.
Yeah.
So it's ironic that they would look to this as some kind of proof that you shouldn't be involved with the men of this world. You shouldn't put your hope in them. But who says people do put their hope in politicians nowadays?
Politics' purpose is to keep order in society. And most people, that's the extent of their political involvement. Their interest in politics is just keeping order.
And surely Christians who are supposedly being addressed here, like Jehovah's Witness Christians, surely Christians know the difference between trusting in men and just wanting order in society, which is the reason politics and government exist.
Yeah. Nobody in the world thinks governments are going to save them from what? Like, they're just thinking they're going to keep order.
Yeah. I do believe that they immediately misstep in here because they allude to Zedekiah, the last king on the throne in Jerusalem, before the destruction of Jerusalem, and call him
an
apostate. Now that's actually a misuse of the term apostate.
Yeah.
You could probably get away with calling the northern kingdom, who are already in exile, apostate because they've stepped away from the continuity with the revealed religion of Israel. But no, Zedekiah is upholding temple. He even at one point upholds the law of release for slaves every 7 years. So he's not an apostate repudiating the law and throwing the religion of Jehovah under the bus.
So they seem to be pitting, they're talking about Egypt and Babylon here, but they use Egypt as an example for you shouldn't trust in Egypt.
Which Zedekiah and the kings were.
They are told frequently not to trust.
Right.
But they are told, and they mention it here, Zedekiah was told to submit to the king of Babylon. So that's another political power.
So you're taking sides politically.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're just going with the one that God tells you to go with.
Yeah.
So I think this, that you're also forgetting that you yourself, Israel, are a political power. They're having dealings with the nations around them, with the different powers, and they always have since they had a king.
Yes, well, even before there was a king, before that misstep, which God tolerated, or he puts up with it, then he chooses a man after his heart to become their king. So God is tolerating politics, but you had politics before you had a king, i.e. you had judges that were given what amounts to governorship in the land. They were the ones, like Samuel, people that you went to have decisions made and to enforce decisions that had been made. So whether we like it or not, we can't escape the powers that are in this world. And in Romans 7:13, in a text that the witnesses, of course, have made much of over the generations, we are told that we have a relationship with those powers, and it's one of submission because they are put here for God's purpose of maintaining a certain standard of righteousness and peace in the world. Order.
And then in Daniel it talks about God raising up and putting down governments, or powers, right?
That's right.
It's God uses them for His purpose.
Yeah.
Or allows them because of His purpose.
So in this apolitical stance that the Watchtower enforces with the power of disfellowshipping anybody who does not comply, they're out of step with the Old Testament. You just mentioned Daniel, obviously a politician.
Yeah.
He was the third man, the prime minister of Babylon for good chunks of time. But their own kings. I mean, even the 6 or so kings that are good kings, like starting with David and Solomon, Asa, Jehoshaphat, Josiah, Hezekiah, even their own kings, the good ones, make missteps.
Yeah.
That doesn't disqualify them from being in God's will. And so it is with politicians.
They're not called apostates.
No, they're never called apostates and thrown under the bus like you just threw Zedekiah, who's on the throne by your admission, by God's power. And that's David's throne. It doesn't belong to Zedekiah or any of the other kings in his ancestry. It belongs to David by divine appointment. So politics was a given in the world. It's just all we have to worry about is whether the people in power are good or not. It's not the thing, the institution, the power that's the problem. It's the men to whom power tends to agglomerate.
Yeah.
And that becomes always becomes a problem, even with David, right?
And then the phrase that's used of Christ in Revelation is that He is King of Kings. So that would imply there are other kings.
Even in the new earth, we are told that Christ is King of Kings and Lord of Lords. So that means that there are other powers under Him.
Yeah, they have to submit to Him.
Again, it's not therefore the institution that's the problem, it's the men. If there are righteous men on the throne, you will tend to have righteousness. So our apolitical stance, if we're Jehovah's Witnesses, can't be justified by don't put your trust in princes, because no one in the world of Christianity that we're now aware of trust princes for their salvation in the way that Jehovah's Witnesses trust their princes for salvation.
Yeah.
Not just through Armageddon, but at the other end of the 1,000 years.
They complain about politics and keep switching things around. They're not thinking they're saving them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's our link?
We're going to link to Daniel. Was Daniel a Jehovah's Witness? And could he be when he was a politician?
Yeah. And this is one of the issues that actually broke us free of the Watchtower when we realized that one of the model believers of the Old Testament is compromised in at least 2 or 3 ways by being where he is in the world by divine appointment.
He didn't meet up to the badge issues of the Watchtower. So that he would not be a good Jehovah's Witness. And then we'll put the playlist of Daniel, all the videos on Daniel, because they're just chock full of good things to talk to your witness relatives about.
Indeed they are. See you next time.